Today we're taking the iconic Valentine's Day rose, the ultimate symbol of human passion, and we're totally stripping away the romance. We're looking past the poetry to reveal this highly efficient, honestly mind-blowing, chemically driven, logistical ballet that makes the whole global trade possible. Let's break down the extraordinary journey of the Valentine's rose.
All right, let's kick things off with a pretty wild statistic. 98% of husbands and boyfriends forget to buy flowers until the absolute last minute. Seriously, 98%. Just take a second to process that. The entire global supply chain we're about to look at, it isn't built around careful, months-in-advance planning. Nope, it's literally built to anticipate, accommodate, and completely capitalize on a massive, synchronized wave of human forgetfulness. We all know the drill, right? It's February 14th. The panic suddenly sets in, and you make that chaotic 5:15 p.m. grocery store sprint. But here's the crazy part. When you finally arrive totally out of breath and grab that delicate bouquet out of the plastic bucket, you aren't just grabbing some local plant. That stem you're holding likely traveled thousands of miles, all the way from the misted highlands of Colombia. Section 1. The Colombian Shift. Let's look at their market dominance. So, why does your rose come from Colombia instead of, say, a local greenhouse right down the street? And how did they manage to dominate this ticking clock industry so thoroughly? Well, starting back in the 1990s, Colombia made a super intentional strategic move. They really wanted to shift their economy away from some of the, let's say, illicit exports they'd become famous for. The big turning point was the Andean Trade Preference Act of 1991, and then later a massive trade promotion agreement in 2012. These agreements basically wiped out tariffs and completely opened the floodgates for a huge legitimate agricultural boom. And look at where they are today. Colombia commands a whopping 60% share of the total cut flower market in the United States. They didn't just enter the market, they absolutely took it over. They're outpacing almost the entire rest of the world combined when it comes to supplying American consumers. The sheer scale here is just staggering. We're talking about an estimated 1.3 billion, that's billion with a B, flowers imported into the U.S. in just the first 2 months of 2026 alone. Now, back in the day, flowers were shipped by type, and assembled once they actually reached America. But today, it's all about maximum efficiency. Factories right there in Colombia cut, separate, and fully assemble the bouquets before they even hit the road. They are 100% retail ready before they ever leave South America. Moving on to Section 2, the secret chemistry of everlasting blooms. Getting those fresh bouquets to your local store basically requires pausing biological death itself. Think about it. If you've ever taken a long-haul flight, you know the feeling, right? Your skin gets super dehydrated, and honestly, your breath starts to stink. Well, flowers face the exact same biological toll. But obviously, if a flower arrives dehydrated and stinky, there's no way it's going to sell. They absolutely have to survive the journey looking pristine. So, to prevent that decay, the industry relies on a highly precise chemical cocktail. They actually call it a special sauce pipeline. Before these flowers ever see the inside of an airplane, they're pumped full of a mix containing liquid conditioner, sugars to keep those petal colors popping, citric acid to lower the pH levels, and heavy preservatives to completely stop bacteria from forming in the water. This whole urgent rehydration process follows 3 rigorous steps to literally halt nature in its tracks. First, they flood them with that chemical cocktail to perk them right up. Second, they shove them tightly into heavy cardboard boxes for protection. And third, they immediately chill them in a 35-degree Fahrenheit refrigerator. That drops their metabolic rate to an absolute crawl. The crucial point here is that this chemical intervention creates a fascinating, multi-billion-dollar illusion. You're holding something that looks incredibly vibrant and alive, but biologically speaking, the flower itself is for all intents and purposes long dead. The special sauce is really just artificially maintaining a beautiful exterior. Which brings us to Section 3, the Miami Leap, and the wild world of international transit. Once they're sauced and heavily chilled, our preserved heroes begin this incredibly fast international transit gauntlet. And this is where the logistics get crazy. During the Valentine's Day rush alone, an astonishing 1,700 cargo flights leave Bogota, completely loaded to the brim with these refrigerated boxes. Just imagine the air traffic coordination required to move 1,700 massive planes, all carrying identical, highly perishable cargo, in just a matter of weeks. And get this, almost all of them are funneling to the exact same place. A whopping 88% of those flights head straight to one critical logistical choke point: Miami.
Miami International Airport becomes the undisputed floral capital of the world during this rush, handling an influx of cargo that would honestly overwhelm almost any other facility on Earth. But landing in Miami, that's really just the beginning. Next, they face a major hurdle: U.S. Customs and Border Protection. Picture inspectors armed with literal magnifying glasses, meticulously checking the stems. They're on the hunt for invasive bugs or pests that could devastate American agriculture. If a shipment has bugs, it stops dead in its tracks. It's a massive, high-stakes bottleneck where every single hour matters. Finally, Section 4, the final handoff and the distribution network. After surviving the chemical baths, the flights, and the magnifying glasses at customs, the surviving flowers begin their final sprint. They're handed off to more than 30 logistics companies that orchestrate a fast-paced, quintessential American road trip in refrigerated trucks, or what the industry calls reefers. This distribution network fractures into 3 distinct final paths. You've got wholesale commercial giants, local neighborhood flower shops, and lastly, grocery and drugstores. And it's really that third path that totally dominates. Grocery and drugstores like Walmart and Costco are the heavyweights here. They move monumental volumes of stems, accounting for an incredible 40% of the entire market. They have the economies of scale to keep prices low and keep that inventory constantly turning over, right as you walk in the door in a panic at 5:15 p.m. This entire system completely relies on economies of scale and checkpoints that are so brutally, ruthlessly efficient, a flower can span continents in a matter of hours. The global logistics are so perfectly dialed in that a flower you smell in Denmark might have literally been picked that exact same morning in Ethiopia. It's mind-blowing. Which leaves us with one final thought to ponder the next time you're sprinting through the store in a Valentine's Day panic. When you hand over that beautiful, vibrant red bouquet, is this delicate expression of human love actually just a masterful display of global logistics and chemical preservation? Thanks for joining me on this explainer. I really hope this changes how you view the flowers sitting right there on your table.